Welcome back to my podcast, Steven Data Talk. I'm your host, Steven. Today, I'm going to talk with JJ Jia, the creator of one of the largest product manager community in San Francisco and a successful professional who has navigated in the tech world for many years. She had inspired me a lot during the conversation, and I also wish you, the audience, will get some useful insights from our talk. This is Steven Data Talk. To support this talk, please check the different support link in the show notes. Now, let's start the show. Hello everyone, welcome back to Steven Data Talk. I'm your host, Steven. Today I have the pleasure to invite Jia JJ Never Sleeps to join our show. She has been working in San Francisco for many years, from Tesla to LinkedIn, now in Meta, as a product manager. And she does not stop only on the professional career. She has one of the biggest product manager community in San Francisco, which is super amazing. Thank you for joining the show, JJ. Now, can you give us a brief introduction? I believe our audience must be very curious about your journey, like from Wuhan University to Duke to Tesla and so on. So, can you share a bit more with us about yourself?
Yeah, sounds good. And thanks for having me. And hello, everyone. I'm JJ. I have all of my all of my accounts in all social media is JJ Never Sleep. So feel free to follow me anywhere. So yes, I graduated from Wuhan University and Duke University in 2020. And I've had previous work experience before. I started my journey creating my own startup from 2016 to 2019. And then moved to the United States, took a gap and worked for Tesla for half a year. And then after I graduated from Duke, I worked for Wise, which is a smart home device company in the United States, and then worked for LinkedIn for 4 years. And last month, I just quit LinkedIn. And after 2 weeks, I will join Meta as a product manager there. So this is pretty much my journey.
I believe our audiences must be super curious about what is driving you for this whole journey. I mean, it is not so easy to switch from the Chinese mainland environment to overseas environment. How did you get to Duke University? What was your secret of study and career move?
Mm. So I wanted to work in tech and have my own company and started my tech career as a product manager when I was in high school. And when I was in high school, I wasn't a very typical good student, although it's a not bad high school. It's a pretty good high school, but I'm not one of those like really good kids. So I skip a lot of classes. I also skip a lot of take-home assignments because I was just a very confused kid back then. I was just curious, what should I do in the future? I think there is this thing about education, both in China and in the United States, that like you learned everything when you were in like middle school and high school. And then first thing before you join college, they want you to choose a major. And I feel I feel so scared about that back then. So I was like, oh, so what should I choose, right? So I read a bunch of biographies and books when I was in high school, trying to figure out what I should do in the future. So back then, Steve Jobs died during those years, and I read the book from Steve Jobs as well to learn more about his career. And that's how I decided to be a product manager and study computer science. So after I joined Wuhan University, I was just very curious about the outside world. Because of the books that I read, it's all about Silicon Valley. So I'm just curious about Silicon Valley as well. Just general curious. I think right now, like if you're talking about reality and people actually working in China versus the United States, they will think about, oh, which part, like which country move faster or whatever. But back then I was like too little to think about all of that. I was just curious. And then I got to know about Tesla when I was at Duke. So that was the first time that I also realized there is an information gap. And sometimes when you think about this, I'm still like fascinated about this because you thought about internet connecting everyone, but still we live in bubbles. So it's a very interesting thing. Like if you think about like I can search about Tesla and Tesla already exists in China back then, but I didn't know about this company at all. And I know about this company when I was at Duke, and there is a very famous course for our program called Competitive Strategy. And the professor was like, "Oh my God, this is such an innovation," and I got intrigued by what he said. So I interviewed everyone I can to know more about this company, and eventually got a job to work at the company because I just did a lot of research and I'm just passionate about what the company does. And then after I work at Tesla, I think Tesla experience is the time that I started to learn more about big companies. Because I think like it is not really like big corporation can tell you how big corporations work. I think it is the mid-sized company that can tell you how the corporation works. Because if the hierarchy is too high and it's too much bureaucracy, like you don't have the full picture of what's going on. But if you're working in a startup or a mid-sized company, then you kind of get the taste of, oh, this is how the leadership think, and this is how I should execute on it. So I think the Tesla experience is my milestone that I actually understand, oh my God, this is how the world works. So after that experience, I went back to Duke and finished my study. And I also, when I was doing my research about product manager positions, I got to know APM programs. So the full name is Associate Product Manager Program. And for the big techs in Silicon Valley, most of them have some headcounts every year. So for example, LinkedIn hire like 5 to 10 people per year. Meta hire, I think 30 to 40 people per year. Google hire like 40-ish people per year. So I got to know this program. And I was like, this program sounds selective. And I just generally got curious because they advertise this program as like they have a lot of visibility from the leadership. And also they have a bunch of education about how to be a good product manager. So I'm just generally curious because I never have this systematic education. And also when I was doing content, I started doing content in 2020. And I did a campaign with LinkedIn China. And I was like, oh my God, you guys' job is so interesting. So I got to talk with a lot of them. And that was actually a shocking point for me because I realized no matter what they do at LinkedIn, like some of them are software engineer, some of them are like product operations or marketing, like no matter what positions they're working on, they generally have a deep understanding about economy and jobs. So I'm like, there has to be something like educational in this company that make all of you guys think like this. So that's how I got curious about this company. So I joined LinkedIn. And now I switched my job from LinkedIn to Meta because AI is changing a lot of my decision making. And I started to think about my career from pretty much 3 years ago when ChatGPT came out. And I think I have a unpopular opinion. I have a hot take that probably people will hate me for that. I think software industry is dead, and I want to move to hardware. And that's why I have to move out of LinkedIn. And I realized during the past 4 years at LinkedIn, although I love my job because I love the people working there, but I wasn't as passionate to the product as I was to Tesla. So I also realized that, oh, this is not my product. So, and I have a bunch of friends around me that have some influence to me in terms of my decision making. So, for example, my husband and my best friend, both of them were not thinking about reality when they graduate. Like they just learned about AI or like learn about chip because they were just generally passionate about it. And they weren't thinking about, oh, what are the companies I could join or what type of positions I could work in or whether I will be like financial free like after a few years, whether the jobs will be well paid. They never thought about that. But they just followed their passion and eventually it worked out. I feel like I care too much when I was looking for a job. And now I want to follow my passion more and work on the stuff that might not give me a high pay, but I might be more interested in.
Wow, that's super fascinating. I mean, you made a lot of choices which led you to today's achievements and your current role. And I think it's not only about how to study hard, but to make better choices along the way. I noticed that you were the first female student union president in your school's history. How did that early leadership experience influence you and even your product manager mindset later?
Yeah, I'm actually very glad that you asked this question because, like, for so long, no one ever asked me my experience. I feel like people just generally have this feeling of like, oh, that's student activity, that's not real world, so they don't ask me about that. But that experience gave me so much learning and so much influence to my later life. Is so important to like how I talk with people, how I work in my like today's company. Or so. So back then, in when I was at Wuhan University, I was the president for the student union for computer science school, and computer science school is very male dominant. So vague memory at that time we have a 4-to-1 or 5-to-1 male to female ratio, and that's why most of the previous president are male. And so it's understandable. Um, but at that time, I also learned about a specific way that engineers think. And I think that is very influential to me. So I feel like growing up in like north of China or like growing up in the education system that we have, a lot of students or a lot of people just respect authorities a lot. Right? Like for example, when I was in high school, I was the class monitor, and like the students in that class just like listen to your plan, whatever you plan, we will do that, we will execute that. Like nobody asks questions. But for software engineers, these are different people. And also the better the software engineers are, the more they think like hackers. So they're not afraid of challenging authorities, and they do not like authorities and bureaucracy. And also they have very strong problem solving skills. So what that means to me is I'm always like, I was so jealous about other presidents. Like when they say something, the students will do something. Like it's not my life in the computer science school. Like I don't have that privilege. So I learned how to be like more open-minded. Like people have different ideas, people have different opinions, have like with a reason. So you have to hear them out. And maybe those ideas make sense and you can like change your plans as well. And also I learned how to persuade people with very strong like supportive evidence. Because you don't like say that, oh, I just want to do plan A because I want to, right? It doesn't work that way. And your students will be like, how about plan B? Plan B sounds better than plan A, right? You have to have very supportive reasons to say, oh, we have to do plan A because of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that is also a skill set that I learned when I was there. And also the third thing is just how to get along with engineers and how to be friends with them. I think that is a very, very important skill set for a product manager. And even today, like right before I quit LinkedIn, I got a promotion at LinkedIn. And in my promotion, there is a little brief summary about why this person got promoted. They were putting in that I have the highest rating from my engineers and among all the product managers. And my engineers' satisfaction, like employee satisfaction, increased when I was doing the product manager and the engineering manager's job, because there was a gap between my old engineer manager and my new engineer manager. So I was doing 2 people job, but my engineers actually feel happier. So I think it is a really important skill set to have, to be friends with them, to hear them out. And I think that is the best collaboration model in the companies too, because I do believe that, yes, I'm doing a product job, but often the case, the engineers have very good intuition because they know how the product is implemented. So they have great ideas. They can see the stuff that the product managers cannot see. So with that brainstorm and collaboration together, you come up with the best solution for the users. So yeah, that's a very important experience for me, and I'm so glad you asked.
Wow, that's super interesting. I mean, because like days ago, I was listening to some podcasts about the Palantir idea, about the forward deployment engineer or something like that. yeah, like the engineers also merge themselves into the work environment and so on to understand the client, like different departments also. So I can also relate my previous experience in the bank to what you just said. So I basically worked between the technical departments and also the business departments. So every now and then I needed to kind of connect all the dots. So yeah, this kind of experience is really, really interesting. I mean, for our listeners, sometimes when you do not get the desired results, maybe you need to change some view or perspective just to collaborate more with others. Maybe it could bring better results. So your career, like you just said, spans from the hardware side like Tesla and the growth and the product side like in Waze and the LinkedIn. I believe there must be some core principles that stayed constant across those environments. Can you share with us more like some of the core ideas or principles?
Yeah, I think product manager at the end of the day is a business role. And it being a business role means that you should do everything to serve your users. And on your way to serve your users, you probably have better data. So you probably have better user engagement or better revenue for the company. But your core problem is to serve the users. So I think that has never been changing. So at the end of the day, the product manager's job is to get things done to serve your users. And you want to represent your users well. You want to talk with so many people that you understand your users the best. And I found that always as such a compelling reason for a product manager to be important at the company. A lot of product managers struggle with not having their voice at the company. It sometimes happens when the company is very technology driven. But your job is always to understand the users. So you have to have, again, supportive evidence to say that, oh, users think in this way. So when I was working at LinkedIn, for example, I work on one of my product is called Who View My Profile. And the funny thing about this product is there is no other product on this world is called this name. And then a very simple way for me to do user research is to just simply search Who View My Profile on LinkedIn. And there will be so many people complaining about this product. And I literally DM'd every single one of them and talk with them. Like that's how obsessed I am with the users. Like I have hundreds, if not thousands, of conversations with the users on LinkedIn just to understand what are their problems and why they face what they face, and we're solving the problems for them. So you have to be very obsessed with users and obsessed with the problem they're having. And the second one is, although for a different company or for different verticals, you might have different data. Like by different data, I mean, for example, for large companies, consumer companies, you might have a lot of data, right? That's your privilege. But for, let's say, B2B company, B2B SaaS company, like especially when you're small or like mid-size, you probably don't have that much data to make decisions. But if you have data-driven decision making is very important. I always believe more in data than what people tell me. I think if you believe in like qualitative things more than quantitative things, then it is very easy for the company or for different people or for different functions to make this more like politics, right? Because, for example, if I say that I'm not happy with, let's say, Google Doc, right? And this is my reason. I'm one of those users, right? The product manager might understand my words in one way, and the engineers might understand my words in a different way, right? And you can have an opinion, he can have an opinion, or the other product managers working on, let's say, not Google Doc, maybe Google Slides, have a different opinion, right? And you guys purely debate on your opinions. And that is very easy to add in more bureaucracy in your workflow. And if you have data and you have strong hypothesis for your data, and if you're validating your hypothesis and you're doing more A/B testing for that, then it will be way easier for you to persuade other people in the company using data. So I always believe in data when there is data. And also the third thing that I highly, highly recommend to product managers, and also I think a lot of people in this domain do not pay much attention in that, is product manager is a job that you cannot have ego. And I found this so like is such a cause for people making mistake, especially when they're high up. So I understand like all of us were like getting promoted, our career is pretty successful in the company because we had so many success cases. But because of those success cases, you were like, oh, I understand how users think. No, you probably don't, because the users always are surprising to you. Like users always have their own way of using the product or whatever. So product management is always such a humbling experience, because you always need to focus on your users. No matter how many right decisions you made in your past, you still need to talk with users. So I think those are the three very common points among different verticals.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And I must say that you are the first guest in the show that mentioned the data more than one times. I mean, my show is called Steven Data Talk, and I think data is really, really important in our work and daily life. I think you always have the mindset to stay foolish and to stay humble, to listen to others. This is a very rare quality, I can assure you. So now let's go back to your community building. I have been a student in your group for some time now because every now and then you just gather different product manager and even students to do some demos, maybe do some interview simulations like that. So you built this JJ Never Sleeps community while working full time. And this is a huge community, and you have showcased a huge commitment to it. I saw one picture. There are, I don't know, maybe several hundreds of people for one gathering. That's super cool. And I want to know, where does that energy and motivation come from? By the way, I do encourage our listeners to follow your accounts in Rednote, LinkedIn, and so on. And furthermore, your update speed about the different interviews and video contents is very fast. It's like every 2 or 3 days you have a new video or a new interview like that. I have been learning tons of stuff from your content, from the different product manager journey and all the materials, etc. Can you share with us a bit more about how you manage that? Where did you get that energy?
Thank you, thank you. That's why my name is JJ Never Sleeps. Yeah, so that's a very that's like flattering me. I try to create content when I have time. And because these days I'm in a job transition, so I can like send out new videos every day. And previously, when I was very busy with work, I also have the time that my followers were making fun of me that I'm updating annually. So like update one article per year. So I try to make as much content as possible. I started my content creation in 2020 when I was looking for a job, and something about Duke University. Please, for all the Duke people who listen to this podcast, do not kill me. Duke University, because of its location, is in North Carolina, and it is on the East Coast, a little bit to south. That position means that there aren't a lot of people in that university join tech afterwards. So a lot of people, like Duke University is extremely famous for its energy. And it is one of the like source for Duke Energy company. And a lot of people go to healthcare as well. It is huge in healthcare. So they have a lot of good majors. But working in tech, and especially you want to be a product manager, you are so alone there. So I got an interview back then in 2018 when I first got into the United States. Like I think it is the second month of me getting into the United States, I got an interview from Google. And I was so confused about the whole interview process because it is not the same as how Chinese tech companies interview product managers. So Chinese companies, when they interview product managers, they focus a lot on your resume and your previous experience. But in the United States, it's very case-based. So they will ask you questions like, how do you improve Google Meet type of question that no matter it is me or you, we can answer this question on the same base, right? From the same start. It doesn't matter what we did before. So I wasn't like familiar with this type of interview questions. So I was like, what is it, right? I was so confused. And also before the interview, I didn't find anyone in my cohort at Duke who was preparing for the same interview. And so after my Tesla experience, after I worked at Tencent, I came back to Duke and I'm like, I have to land a job here. Like, this is hard, but I got to do this. So I went on LinkedIn. I searched thousands of profiles from all these tech companies, associate product managers. So I found all of them. And I was trying, I connected with all of them. I was trying to learn more from like any of them because, not everybody uses LinkedIn every day and not everybody reply to me. So I have to have a big base to start with. So I connected with every one of them. And I did have a lot of helpful coffee chats. But one thing that I found out is there wasn't anyone from the people that I reached out to are people who are like me, who just came to the United States for the master program. And I was feeling very sad about this, meaning that there wasn't a person like me who were like, come here for a master program and land an APM job. That was a very scary thought. And then I started to dig deeper. And I found the last person who was like me, who shared a similar experience, was someone who worked at LinkedIn as an associate product manager 14 years ago. So that was how deep I did the research, and I connected with that person. I'm like, dude, please, I'll do anything for you to tell me something about how you got there. And then I started to write article. I think I went viral the first time when I published an article on WeChat talking about how hard it is for someone like me who just got into the United States and want to land a PM job here. A lot of my friends in the same cohort with me at Duke have to go back to China because they cannot land a job here. And I was like, that's not fair. Like, if you want to work in the United States, you work in the United States. If you want to go back to China, you go back to China. It doesn't have a scenario where you have to go to a job because you cannot land another job, right? So I want to have this community and enable everyone to just land their dream job. And I realized there are several barriers for people like me. The first one, obviously, is language barrier, because all those Indian folks are speaking English in India. We're not speaking English in China. So that is number one. And second is also because we have a firewall. So we do not use like products like Google or Facebook when we were in China. So back then, I remember the Google interview, they were asking, oh, how do you improve Google Keep as a product? I'm like, what the fuck is Google Keep? And then the interviewer was like, oh, let's change another question. How about let's improve Facebook Marketplace? I know what is Facebook Marketplace, but I never used that product. So I was like, there's no way I can continue this interview. And the third barrier is storytelling, because a lot of us have amazing experience in China, but the products that we work on are also the products that the interviewers here do not use. So a lot of people were like, oh, I work on this thing at Tencent, which is like such a famous product in China, but nobody heard about it in the United States. So it's very hard for you to do the storytelling. I remember, for example, back in the days when I worked for Tencent, I work on the game Honor of Kings, 王者荣耀. But so it's so popular, but like no one in the United States know about this. So I have to think about how to frame this, how to tell a good story to make you relate to my story, make you relate to my past. So that's the situation that we were dealing with. And I wanted to change this. So I built this community, and I realized people have amazing experiences, and we can learn from each other. We can improve each other's skill sets, and we eventually got like our dream jobs. And previously, it is like definitely like one person from mainland China that could land an APM job in the past 5 years kind of frequency. But after we have this community and we encourage each other and we make success for each other, we can have like 50 people or now even 500 people landing their dream jobs every year. So that's not a problem anymore.
Wow, that's really incredible. I mean, 40 years later, you are the other alumni who actually changed the situation completely. And I think all the alumni which got help from you owe you a big thank you. I mean, magically now I also get connected to Duke University because I collaborate with Duke CEO and Accent, who is the community which is super active in San Francisco and so on. So now I have the pleasure to invite you to my show. I do think this is a magical connection which continues to grow. So let's talk about the recent development of AI. Like Google just released the new Gemini 3.0 Pro model, and the Gemini app also got upgraded, and also tried the new Nano Banana Pro model. I mean, AI is evolving super fast. I kind of started to follow all the AI news like 2 years ago at the start of the aha moment, the AI boom. Since then, I felt that everything is evolving super fast, and I noticed that you have been learning AI since the very beginning. So, from a PM point of view, which AI product or which feature of an AI product, like maybe a feature or product like LinkedIn, that's really helped you or catch your attention?
Mm. I use very basic AI tools. So I use ChatGPT for a lot of learning. So I have been doing, like, because I'm switching jobs right now, I've been doing job search for the past year, and um, it was such a shocking moment for me earlier this year when there was a startup trying to evaluate me on design thinking and this system design. And I was a computer science student, but I have never done a system design interview. And even for software engineer, it is like relatively senior to high level people will be so good at system design that they're like confident that, oh, I'm like no problem with system design. So I have to learn everything from ground up. So I was reading this book to tell me about system design, but I have so many questions on the side. So I just use ChatGPT to ask all the questions, and it served as such a good personal tutor for me. Like, it is so shocking for me that I'm like, this is going to change the world. So when I was when I was doing content, I always believe in one thing, which is how the information flow in this world. So I believe there are 3 steps. First is you have to know, like, in order for you to get answer for yourself, you have to know what is your question. So that is your first step. You have to know what is your blocker, what question do you have. Oftentimes we feel confused about something, but we cannot ask the specific question. And that is your first step, to know what question to ask. The second step is to find the answer and then understand the answer. And the third step is, let's say when you already incorporate the idea into yourself, then you want to evangelize that idea to other people, right? That's how information flow as a single person's perspective, individual perspective. So I always feel like this, the first step and the second steps, for example, how do you know where you were blocked? Or how do you find and understand the answer, is something that AI has been helping us a lot in terms of the efficiency in this. But it is also true that one of the reasons, let's say, search products, right? Before LM time, Google search is not as popular product as, let's say, Facebook or TikTok. Reason being, most of the people on this planet do not know what questions do they have. So I always think that the first step and the second step, understanding your question and your ability of finding and understanding that answer, defines a person's IQ. And the last step of how good you can do the storytelling and make other people believe in your idea is your EQ. So I do believe that AI is a technology that can improve the average of human beings' IQ. So that's why it is a very disruptive technology. But there are also a lot of generative applications. For example, I use Nano Bananas for content creation. And that is basically helping me with the third step, because Nano Banana knows better about what type of thumbnail on YouTube works better than me as a newbie content creator. So yeah, it also helps. Nowadays, you can see that it also helps people with understanding their audiences, which is like improving your EQ as well. So I do believe that AI is very amazing in improving our lives.
I mean, I kind of had some flop moments with Nano Banana before, so I used the ChatGPT more on the modification of pictures and so on. But now maybe I'll try it again. Just like you said, I think what really matters is how we ask the question. And it is about prompt engineering and how to better understand our question, how to properly state our question. And maybe in the later stage, it's like when we interact more with AI, we are kind of performing a type of chain of sorts and also some post training of our own neural network. So you worked on growth, on ads, and on analytics. How do you define AI native product thinking? Because now I'm hearing a lot of mentioning about this word, like AI native organizational structure, AI native product, AI native mindset. Do you see this concept like beyond just using AI as a feature or function?
First of all, I do think that there is certain like um, room for bubble in this world, that people just create words in the industry. But I also kind of understand like AI is redefining a lot of ways how we work. And I think we have to rethink about how we could incorporate AI into our work and also into product design. For example, a very simple example, I'm not like even using LinkedIn as an example here, like very simple example, when ChatGPT first came out, I did a GPT for my community people to do a GPT for them to review their resume. I feel like this is such a use case that GPT could enable me in a lot of ways. And I say that because I think nowadays we need to think about like how we think about this problem. We have to identify the workflow, and we have to identify 4 different use cases and workflow, like what is the data critical for decision making, right? And also probably what is the model that we want to use, and whether like what training techniques we want to use to do that application, right? So we have to have this understanding and have the thinking when you are using product in your day-to-day life. Why don't I do a mock interview, right? A lot of people in my community were looking for mock interview partners. We're looking to someone to help them with career development, career advices. Like I didn't do any use cases like that because I just don't think that it could solve the majority of the problem. I do think if I like truly develop an AI application for that, it could solve the problem. But I will probably like explain later in depth why I think like that is the case, that I think that AI can replace product managers. But like with that ROI, I think resume review is the best case I could develop. So I think this thinking process is something I think is critical for today's product manager. You have to understand the workflow, data, model, and the training technique when you think about your daily work, and also how to design product. So you can understand AI is a tool, right? AI is not everything. So you can understand how to use AI in the best scenario. You're not dreaming about AI can complete every single thing in this world, right? So that's one. And second is in terms of how we work in the companies. I do think AI can automate a lot of things in our daily job. And again, that's why I believe AI can replace product managers. And there are certain jobs or still like workflow, right? A product manager has a workflow. In the workflow, there are specific tasks, right? I think we need to come up with the thinking process of oh, what are the tasks can be automated by AI, and whether I can do it in a very safe and private way, right? Because we're working for companies. Um, and what are the skill set, are the new skill set in this world, right? There probably are some of the skills that are not important anymore, right? A lot of people were saying that as a software engineer, how do you see like your future career, right? Because vibe coding is so popular these days. I do think there is still so much space for AI to improve in software development. Because software or like vibe coding has done a very good job in front end, but not as good as back end and infra. Like that is a known case today. But like they will be improved, right? So there is still room for improvement. But let's say if you are saying like writing SQL or data analytics, right? These probably do not have that much front end or back end situation. Then AI can do a very good job. In the previous like job descriptions for, let's say, growth product manager, you always see this skill set saying you can like write SQL, do analysis yourself, right? And nowadays, like people just do ChatGPT for that. So that is a new skill set that you have to learn how to prompt AI to write SQL for you so you can do it faster, right? So I do think there is a certain set of skill set that you have to learn, and some of the skills that might not be as important as before.
Recently, I have bbeen reviewing the YC Stanford startup course recorded like 10 years ago, where Sam Altman was one of the lecturer. That was super interesting. After speaking with you for a while now, I do notice that you have all the major attributes for a successful startup founder. So I mean, in the next step, if you really start to work on a AI product, please let me know. I will be super interested in that. So now let's go back to your past experience in Tesla. Tesla is very famous for speed and intensity. I believe working inside must be very intense because the boss is like crazily busy, like also sleeping in the office and so on. So what did that experience teach you about iteration and the prioritization? Because it's a big company, maybe at first you think it's kind of chaotic or something like that. Eventually, how did you navigate through that whole journey?
I think Tesla, I think even today, I think Tesla is the experience that taught me so many things that is still maybe the most important experience I've ever had in my life. I think it's just like before I joined Tesla, I was such a student. And I feel like that is also the problem with a lot of students today. And a lot of people who like have been working for like 2-3 years, but they still have the student mindset, right? And I think Tesla was the experience that I just forget about my student mindset and started my life as a professional. I do think that like work is work, job is job, and and it is very like it will be very lucky for us if the work environment or the cultural or the culture or the people there are nice, right? But you have to understand that work is work. So I think I understand that when I was at Tesla. So, for example, Tesla is very result oriented, and I think this is like the core of like business world or like a workplace. So if you're a result oriented person, you will realize that your interpersonal relationship is way easier than others. You will realize that people will be nicer to you, right? Like because this is workplace and people are result oriented. And most of the people that we're working with, like, are so smart, like, are the smartest people in the world. And they know that if you are the person who can bring result to the table, they will follow your lead too. So result oriented is so important. And when I was a student, I didn't make sense of it. So that is like the first learning. The second learning is organization. So like what I said, I don't think that big corporation like giants, tech giants, are a good learning for entry-level people on how the organization works. But small companies or mid-sized companies can teach you a lot about how the organization works. Because, for example, how it was structured was literally I have a mentor, I have a manager, and that is all we have in the digital marketing team. And then beyond my manager is the VP of Tesla, and beyond him is Elon. Like that's how flat the organization is. And it just appeared to me so obvious that for different level of people, they think differently, right? They care about different things. And if you want to, let's say, manage up, right? People always use the word manage up. You have to tailor to what they care about. And that just struck me so much when I worked there. Because, for example, maybe the VP of Tesla only care about you deliver so many leads generation from Tesla, from China, right? From Greater China area. Your manager might care about what campaign you launch, what marketing campaign you launch, and whether they're legit, right? Whether they're a high ROI campaign. But let's say if you are not a good marketer and you like usually most of the marketers maybe launch 2 campaigns. Let's just like random number, right? 2 campaigns per month, and they can give the leadership 10,000 leads generation, right? And you're not a good marketer. After your 2 campaigns, you only have 5,000. Then what are you supposed to do, right? You have to be a hard worker and do 8 more campaigns, right? to meet the 100K leads generation. The VP of product, the VP of Tesla will not care about how many campaigns you do, right? Or how you do it. They only care about the numbers. But your manager, as the head of marketing, he might like care about what you're doing and whether they are legit campaigns, right? So different people understand different things and care about different things. And you have to be result oriented to deliver what they want. And if you could deliver something that the VP of Tesla care about, but your manager were like, oh, this is shit, you still have your leadership sponsor. So just saying, you have to have a priority. So result oriented and the organization. And the third one, I think also because of the scope that I had when I work at Tesla and the responsibility I had, I also have a bunch of amazing connections and the world view about the international company. Because Tesla China back then, the Gigafactory just started in Shanghai, and the office in Beijing only have like 100 to 200 people. So it's a very small organization. And when you work on digital marketing, you have to work with people who are in Amsterdam office, who are in the US office, in the Fremont office. Like you have to work with a lot of other offices in the world. And in order to execute fast and deliver on time, you have to be awake whenever they reply to your message. But then you kind of understand how different offices work and what are the responsibilities for different people. And you kind of like connect the dots about how this organization works and how an international company manage international offices. That's a very interesting learning for me. Apart from that is because the organization is so flat, so you also got to know a bunch of amazing high-level people, and they teach you a lot of things. So for example, the VP of Tesla, I learned so much from him personally, and the head of marketing and communication, she later became the VP of Tesla as well. From these 2 VPs, I learned a lot. And also I learned about content creation from my direct manager at Tesla. He is a content creator. He was a content creator back then when I was at Tesla. And that's when I feel like, that's such an amazing space and I want to be a content creator too. So there are a lot of amazing people and the smartest people in the world that can inspire me in a lot of ways. So I think that is the benefit of working in a like top tier company.
Wow, fascinating. Now let's talk a bit about the products. So you have worked on many different products before and even different features of the product. So you must have developed some taste or some understanding and thinking about different products. How do you design for both like advanced users and the newcomers? Because sometimes we need to consider to retain the previous users or advanced users and also make something interesting to invite the newcomers, to attract the new users.
I'll talk about how the companies do it and how I do it right now. And I will also talk about a hot take that I have for the future of technology. So for example, the very basic way of identifying different users, right? That is the core of user segmentation, is because different users have different pain points, right? That's why you have to identify different segments of the users, because they have different pain points when they use your product. So let's say when I was working on growth, we always deal with people who are guests, they haven't logged in, and they just log in, right? They're newcomers, they're onboarding users. These users do not find the value of LinkedIn yet, right? So they have very limited information on their profile, and they don't know where their colleagues are, where their friends are, and they're thinking about, oh, where should I start with, right? These are the people that we want to maybe give them good recommendations based on their school and their company, maybe have good content for them to get interested in some of the content creators. And we treat them differently as the frequent users, because for frequent user, we have a lot of signals about them, right? So we know what they like. So this is the very fundamental way of separating users, is to define the criteria. What is a newcomer and what is advanced users, right? Maybe you want to define daily active users as advanced users. You want to define weekly active users as as advanced users. You want to define people who just registered the account for 2 weeks as newcomers, right? So you want to be very specific about the criteria, and the fundamental of these criteria are rule-based, right? But later on, nowadays, we're doing more advanced recommendations. So let's say I send emails, millions, if not billions of emails outside to LinkedIn users on who viewed their profile and their profile analytics, right? And for these email and notifications, there are huge drivers for LinkedIn daily active user, LinkedIn time spent on the platform, and LinkedIn premium revenue and other revenues as well. So I have a lot of objectives, right? And for people who, for example, are newcomers, I probably cannot expect them to pay for premium right away. So it is not a good spend of use of time for me to use all the effort in this world to try to persuade them to buy premium. So it's not a good experience, right? Because they're not convinced about LinkedIn's value proposition yet. They don't find LinkedIn as valuable yet, right? So they don't know how to use LinkedIn yet. So these people are the people that we need to tell them, this is what LinkedIn could offer to you. And you probably want to become a weekly active user, want to become a daily active user first, before you realize, oh, there is actually more insight that LinkedIn Premium can offer me. So you want to subscribe Premium. So we have these AI models to define, is it more likely for that person to increase our daily user engagement, or they are more likely to subscribe Premium directly? So we have these prediction models to define what is the experience for that user. And for the experience for the user, we also have our definition in terms of email notification. For example, who should we send the email notification to? When should we send them email notification? And what is the content in the email notification? All of these are AI defined. So we can get the best conversion from every single user to maximize the daily active user, time spent, and revenue. So that is the current situation. That is also going to be the situation I'm going to work on at Facebook. And so it's pretty much the same, using AI to personalize the experience for everyone. But I think there is a future that I'm more interested in terms of how we could have one step further to personalize the experience. Right now, we're only talking about the very straightforward metrics, like the who to send the email or notifications to, how often, when to send them, and what is the content to send them, right? But I think there is a future where the LinkedIn as a product is structured differently to you and to me, because you use LinkedIn in a different way as me. For example, when I work at LinkedIn, I barely check out the jobs tab. right? Because I never applied for jobs when I worked there. Then do you even need to have that tab here for me, right? You probably can leverage AI to have literally a different product experience for me because I just come to LinkedIn for specific tasks. And maybe if there is any signal that you identify that I may be a job seeker in the future, you show up more jobs stuff to me, right? Right now, we haven't done the last mile personalization yet. And I think a lot of things can be personalized to deliver the ultimate outcome.
Wow, that's very insightful. I mean, nowadays I sometimes try some AI products in the landing page. They ask tons of questions. I feel that these products or these companies are trying to categorize the users in the very beginning so there will be better classification so they can customize their service later on. So now I have been a fan of yours for some time now. So I did some calculation. You now have almost 200,000 followers in all the platforms combined. Now I only have 5% of that amount. So in the past 5 years, you have accumulated this huge amount of followers and your very huge community. What is your secret? I mean, now it's like the creator economy and the personal branding is also a very hot topic. Do you have some experience about the consistency on storytelling and the value density build up to share with us?
Mm. I think I'm not very specific about, oh, I want to grow my followers. So I started, like what I said, how I started this thing, and I think there is a gap between like Chinese people looking for a job in the United States. And then as I create more content on WeChat, I realized that not only people like me who are interested in this type of content, people who are in China who are aspiring product managers, who are already product managers, also find that this information is helpful because there is no systematic PM education in China. So that was how I started. I think there is an information gap on the internet, and I was just simply filling out the gap. And nowadays, I like to use the format of like mock interviews to talk about a lot of things. I'm not the type of like very extroverted content creator who can create content just by simply like me with the camera and I can talk nonstop. I'm not that kind of the content creator, and I'm also not good at chasing topic or like knowing where the traffic goes, right? Because I'm not a full-time content creator. If I do this full-time, I probably can analyze it better and do more intentional content. But now it is my side job, so I just purely want to fill out the information gap. And by filling out the information gap, I think people see my content as very helpful, and it might not be the type of content that they want to look at every single day. But it's a learning. You want to learn a certain stuff, you come to my channel. After you land a job, you probably want to chill a little bit. I understand and also, I think my goal of creating content is also very specific. I do understand the pros and cons of having large group of audience. I think the good thing of having large group of audience is, for example, maybe you have fame, you can monetize from it. People will buy the stuff that you recommend. Even now, I don't have monetization at all. People always ask me this question: how do you monetize from your channel? No, not really. So I don't care about a lot of that. I think that is also a lot of people who are content creators and who are having a full-time job in tech or in Silicon Valley, that they realize that, oh, unless I'm like super big content creators, I'm like really big, that I could give up my job for that. For example, there is a YouTuber, or like she is also on Bilibili as well, Xiaolin Shuo. She is very famous, and she was having a investment banking job. And I think she, like, her topic and her market can help her to reach to an audience that pretty much like every single one we can like learn about different countries' economy. We can learn about finances. Finance is a topic that everybody will be interested in. So like at the end of the day, she can be more successful as a content creator than just working as an investment banker. Then I totally understand that. But now, as someone who work in tech, I haven't seen that future for myself. I don't see one day that my content creation, like the fame or monetization, can give me the same kind of compensation as my full-time job. So then that leads to another question and why I'm doing this. So I started content creation for the information gap, and at that time I was jobless, right? I was looking for a job too. And over the years, I realized I learned so much from the people in my community. And I predicted that when I started to do my content creation. Why? Because I started on WeChat. I started on WeChat and LinkedIn. And if you think about like you maximizing the traffic, WeChat is not a good platform. WeChat follower base is growing so slow. Like typically one article can give me like 50 followers. If that article is like a very common article, it's like just talking about a single topic kind of article. If that article is like a very strong opinion that telling everybody that AI can replace product manager, that can give me maybe hundreds of like followers. But that's it. It's not like I send out a video on RedNote and it can give me thousands of followers. Okay, so WeChat is not the platform that you want to maximize your follower base. But I want to do WeChat to start with because on WeChat, the information is spread out using your network. So if you think about how I started, I have my friends from Duke, I have friends from Wuhan University, I have friends from Tesla. All these people are my friends. And they might see my content. They might be interested in my content. Oh, and of course, my friends from Tencent, and they did a lot of things to help me grow my channel. And these are the people who are interested in my content, and then they will share to their friends. And I spread out my content using their network, which means that most of the people that they spread out the information to will also be people who are studying in the United States or who are already in tech world already. So I want to prioritize the quality of the people I'm getting in touch with, the quality of my community over the quantity. I want to make friends with every single one of people in my community to learn from them. That's my primary goal. So that's why I talk a lot in my WeChat groups. And that's also why I have so many one-on-ones and offline chats with people in my community. I don't really, like if I have unlimited time, I will want to talk with every single one of them. And I did that before I joined LinkedIn. I did 200 one-on-ones after one single article. I was like, share this article outside, I will do a 1 hour one-on-one with you. Because I really want to know their life and I really want to learn from their experience. And that quality of people is the highest I've ever get. And I like learn so much from them. And that's also why I grow my audience from LinkedIn too. LinkedIn spread out information through your network as well. If you give me a like on LinkedIn, your network will see my content. So this is just how information is flowing. But if I want to monetize or if I want fame, then I will go to platform like RedNote.
Wow, that's a fascinating experience. I mean, dear listeners, please do not waste the opportunity or the time window now to get in touch with JJ. You are going to learn a lot, for sure. I mean, your initiative is truly invaluable to everyone around you. I can feel your sincerity and all your contributions to the community. I'm not a product manager now or yet, but I really appreciate all your efforts to the community and helping others. Really, thank you. Many product managers want to build a public voice. You did it as a side project in the social media platform to build your public voice, but some other product managers, maybe they want to build a public voice intentionally, but they don't know where to start. So what's your advice for them?
I think just based on what we just discussed, I think the product managers need to have a very clear definition about what you want to achieve from your channel. So either you want to target a niche market like me, you want to get to know the people that you could be lifelong friends with, or you can learn from, or you can maybe start a business with them. Then you want to produce the niche information that they would want to hear. And then you also want to know what you want to do with those connections, right? And on the other side, if you want to target a more public market, then what vertical are you playing, right? I also go on like social media from time to time. I'm not a very strong like Red user. I uninstall Red from time to time because it's too addictive. But you can like get a taste of the content on Red if you are doing like a general vertical, right? If you are like sharing snacks, or if you are sharing vlogs, or if you are just simply sharing your life. I saw there are content creators just like looking for boyfriends on Red and they do vlogs every single day to go on dates. And I saw like people who are just like sharing their normal like work life, and how they prepare and get ready every morning and to go to work. And you have to have creativity in that, right? Because people's attention is very limited. People are not here for the unique information that you're providing. So you might want to adjust your content to fit in the larger audience, meaning that you always want to have creator stuff out there, right? Because also content creation is a field that doesn't have like competitive advantage, because basically everybody can create the same content, like other people can copy you as well. So you should have consistent innovation in terms of how you can grab attention from people. And also, I think you also have to understand the very general like market trends. Because if you're targeting the massive public market, there are some trends that you have to pay attention to. First of all, I experienced this firsthand that the economy is going bad. And for example, in 2020, when I shared about how I landed my job on Rednote on WeChat, people were generally like, "Oh, this is a good way of organizing my previous experience in product management and help me tell a better story. I'm gonna learn about this and land a better job." This is the very common reaction I got 5 years ago. But today, if you are sending the same content on Rednote, telling about how you land a job, people will be jealous, and people will like send very attacking comment to you, because it's just simply the fact that economy is not as good as 5 years ago. The whole world is. So previously, people think that by hard working, they can land the same job as you. Now they don't believe so. And I think if you're a content creator targeting the massive audience, you have to understand this, because you have to make sure that people do not feel offended when they see your content. So I think, yeah, if you are targeting a larger audience, I'm targeting niche market, by the way. If you're targeting a larger audience, you have a larger responsibility.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really learning a lot from you because now I'm a content creator. So about my vertical, about the different statements and reactions from the audience, I think I should pay more attention to them, and also to focus on my target group. Yeah. Previously, you've been invited to like Harvard and the CMU as a guest speaker. I mean, for many others, maybe this is a very high achievement. What questions from the students impressed or surprised you the most during these events? And did you enjoy the interactions with them?
Yeah, of course. I love students. I love talking with students. And the interesting about talking with students is that students at different stage have different questions, and also students in different schools have different questions. So in general, I feel like in today's world, people are more interested in entrepreneurial experiences, just because the economy in the US is bad as well. So more college students are looking to create their own business rather than joining a tech company. So they're very interested in those type of experience. But in general, the undergrad students are like more typical Gen Z. And I see myself as a Gen Z, borderline Gen Z as well. So I get like their point of view when they ask me questions that sometimes millennials or like even more senior people will be like, oh my God, this is Gen Z type of questions. So let me give you an example. I taught classes for University of South California, or like several months ago. And that was a professor inviting me there, and the professor have 3 classes. I did 3 classes for him in 2 days. It was such a run. And he has classes for undergrad and BA students and master. And it is so obvious that for master and MBA students, they're asking me about how to land a job, how to land a job at LinkedIn, how to land a job in big tech, how to land a job in startups. And for undergrad students, they were shooting me questions about why LinkedIn feed is so hard to use. And I'm like, those are legit questions. I don't think LinkedIn feed is good either. But like, those are the Gen Z audience that they are more like challenging authority kind of personality, right? Because they're Gen Z. They have their own opinions, no matter like how much information they have, or they wouldn't second doubt their question. They will just ask the question, even if it is a stupid question, you can tell me it is a stupid question, right? They have the courage to speak up. I think that is something I really like about younger people. So that's one, about what program or what stage of life they're in. And second is in terms of universities. So for example, people from Harvard are more interested in like my job experience. And they're more interested in how we make decisions in big tech companies. But for people from CMU or people from Berkeley, I talk them without any information gap. Like I can crack the jokes about the latest news in tech, they can get it because they're so close to tech industry. And I talk with them, not giving me a feeling of me talking to students. I talk with them like I talk with my coworkers. Like that's how comfortable I was when I was at CMU and Berkeley. So yeah, people are like having different culture in different universities. And talking about culture, Duke students are always very brotherhood and good at execution. So like they only care about 1, 2, 3 steps, and then this is the outcome that I will achieve, and they will definitely get the outcome if you tell them to do 1, 2, 3. So they're very good at making things happen, and that's why Tesla as a company love Duke students as well. And for universities like Southern California, they are very good at like directing, filming, entertainment industry. So they have a lot of innovation there. So different universities have different culture, and the students think differently, which is a very interesting thing that I saw.
Wow, this is super interesting. I mean, if I could go back in time, maybe I should have applied to Duke University many years ago. I think you just shared with us a perfect playbook of both study and a career move. Really fascinating. Now let's go to the topic about AI. Some people say that AI will replace all human jobs, including the product manager's jobs, and there are already tons of reports stating that some jobs are no longer safe, and most people will be unemployed very soon. And some others say that the people who use AI will replace those who don't use AI, like also for the product managers. What's your perspective about this?
I think first of all, I believe from technology perspective, AI can definitely replace product managers. It's just from technology perspective. I think product manager have a very specific way of thinking. It is just any professions in this world. If you're good at the job, you're also very predictable in how you think. But will AI replace product manager is another question I would want to talk about. I think product managers, like replacing product managers is not a good business. I say this with the love of my heart, with so much respect to product managers and the people the entrepreneurs out there. Because I have been doing content creation in this field since 5 years ago, and there are a lot of people reaching out to me in the community or on LinkedIn. They were asking me about, oh, how do you think about AI replacing product manager? I always told them that I believe that PMs can be replaced. It is just not a good ROI business. Because if you think about, first of all, there are so many software engineers out there, right? That's why vibe coding is such a thing. Because software engineers have higher total addressable market, they have more people, and they have higher salaries. So if you are thinking about replacing software engineers, then you have a bigger business outcome, right? Because companies will be caring about that more. Product managers, on the other hand, first, there aren't as many product managers as software engineers. And second, they don't have that high salary. I say this with the love of my heart to all the product managers out there. If you're passionate about this job, you should still do that. But let's just be honest, right? We're not coding. So we don't have as high salary as the software engineers. But also, the difficulty of replacing product managers and their workflows is also more difficult. It is totally doable, but it's also more difficult because product managers are more business driven and people driven roles. So there is such an aspect of this job that you need to coordinate with people. You need to encourage them to have innovations. You need to challenge their work, and that is the thing that there's so much like interpersonal relationship with people, right? And that's why a good product manager, a great product manager, a so-so product manager have such different business outcome and in terms of how they can achieve from their job. So can AI replace that? Maybe yes, but it's just very hard to do. So you probably want to gather a lot of data from the product manager whatsoever to create the AI to replace product managers. But what for? The business outcome is not that great. So that's my general opinion. But I do think that AI can enable product managers to achieve more. That is an absolute right direction to go. And I do think that the software industry do not need that many people. That's also true, I think. So that's why I'm saying software industry is dead. But like, meaning that a lot of people will have to change their jobs. Because I think it is just how the industry evolved. If you go back to decades ago, every decade or every like century, there will be a very sexy industry, right? And the industry always change. And the most sexiest industry always have the highest, the most capital in this industry. The VC money is in the industry, the talent density is in the industry, but then the industry will be disrupted by new technology and the industry will not be as important anymore. So I think that is the turning point for software right now. And that is extremely true when you think about how AI is disrupting the industry, because there is so much public information out there on the internet. I am telling people how to be a good product manager. There are hundreds and thousands of software engineering people telling people how to write better code. So all of these content are the content that are used to train AI. So that is also a reflection of the density of talent in this industry and how much capital it is in this industry, because people are generally curious about those topics. They want to be a software engineer in the tech industry. So it is just how industry evolve. So I do think a lot of product managers will be losing their job. The ratio might be very similar with software engineers, and they have to find themselves another job.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's like the technologies come and go, and only the capables remain. We should better learn how to better utilize and leverage the AI capabilities that we have.
And also, I just feel like that's one of the reasons why I want to switch to hardware industry too. I think the talents will always be talents, because if you're smart in this industry, you're smart in other industry too, and you always like learn faster. So just keep learning. And I don't necessarily think that staying in software and doing what you are doing right now, regardless of like you being enabled by AI or not, and you can achieve more, I believe so, like so much. But I'm just thinking whether it's a good business to be in, because the benefit or the ROI in this industry is not going to be as high as before, right? So no matter how capable we are as individual product managers, the industry is like this. So we have to think about the bigger picture when it comes to business.
Yeah, sure. We better prepare for both the advantage and also the storms brought by the new technology for sure. Just before our talk, I was watching the AI Engineer Summit in New York, and there was a talk very interesting. It's like in an enterprise setting, the AI engineer team was trying to train the model based on some data from the panel discussion. So they want to mimic the behavior of a panel or some decision making organization. Maybe we need to look at the different things if AI will disrupt more or less. It's not like we can say AI will disrupt everything at the same level. Final question. You've led AI products at LinkedIn and built creator tools. Do you think future PMs need both model intuition and storytelling skills?
Mm. Yes, I think for sure. And also, I think like people like to use the word intuition, but I don't like the word. And I think all the so-called intuition comes from practice. And I think that applies to like, for example, skill set like storytelling or like models, right? That model intuition, so-called model intuition for product managers or for machine learning engineers or for like researchers, they all come from thousands of testing, thousands of use cases, right? To see that, oh, this model is better in this case, and this model is better than that case, or in that case, right? So practice makes perfect. And a lot of people were like one of the most questions I got as a content creator is like, oh, this is my experience back then. This is what I'm doing. Do you think I'm a good fit in product management? I always think that this is a very weird question because I could tell you whether in your domain or in your niche market, whether there are a lot of jobs. So let's say if there are more jobs, let's say in the content creation field, there are so many companies in the creator economy, then it's easier for you to land a job. But if you're saying that you're in a very specific domain, it will be harder. That might be true. But a lot of people were like focusing on whether I am gifted to be a product manager or I was born to be a product manager. Nobody is born to be a product manager. And I think a lot of people have this misunderstanding of what if I'm too introverted? Should I be a product manager? Because product manager like need to talk with so many people. I think product management today have so many domains and different verticals to make sure that different personality people can achieve their success in different domains. Let's say if you're a very creative person, you could work in consumer product manager. If you are like data is everything kind of person, you could work in growth product manager. If you are very business driven people, you're an MBA student, you could work in business product management. If you are, let's say, very research people, you can work in research. If you're like very organized person and you are good with talking with clients, then you should work in B2B product managers, right? So there are different ways to achieve being a product manager while utilizing your strength in your personality. So I don't think there is a fit or not. And besides that, I think all of the other things like product sense, like how do you do a product, like all of these can be practiced. I've done like 500 mock interviews before my first real interview. And I didn't do that because I'm a nerd. I might be a nerd, but also because I just think that it enforced me to brainstorm in a more like pressured way when it comes to mock interview. So I want to come up with the best solutions in 30 minutes. I want to train myself to be like that. I've done 500 mock interviews before my first real interview, and that's how I can get so many interviews and offers. And this time as well, when I was transitioning my job right now, I didn't do that many mock interviews per se for myself because I have done like 3,000 of mock interviews in the past. And I've done mock interview lives for my community people every single week, right? So that's the constant practice that makes me good at interview. But that good at is come from in practice. Like nothing is works magically. So
Yeah, just like the old saying, practice is the best teacher. Finally, I think we are about to conclude this episode. I'm super curious, like, what did never sleeping truly mean to you? Like before, and then what do they mean to you today? And if you want to give one sentence to the audience, like a suggestion or idea, what would you share right now?
I think previously I want to know good people from my community. Now I still have the same thinking. And previously I might focus a lot on product management. Later I might focus on entrepreneur and investment. Either way, it will still be in tech. That's where my passion is. So I want to enable more people, more Chinese people, to achieve whatever they want in global market or in China. I think they should have the power to do whatever they want. So that is what this channel means to me. And as a person, I just always want to have positive impact in the world. And I think that is like a part of being a decent human being. And on the other side, one sentence I want to talk with the audience, I think this is changing how I think from this year. And I also want to share this with the rest of you guys, is I think right now the economy is not good. True. There are a lot of layoffs from tech companies, from the tech industry. Also true. There are a lot of uncertainties in this world, which is also true. And you might have a lot of pressure from all kinds of the world, like all parts of the world. I think extremely, like especially when it comes to time like this, resilience is so important. And you have to believe every single person have your strengths, have your unique talent, and you have to believe in yourself. And by believing in yourself, it doesn't only mean to land a job. It means that you have the courage, or you have the dare to pursue your passion. And I think passion means so much more, especially in a time like this.
Wow, that's fascinating. Thank you, everyone, to watch the Product Manager 101 provided by JJ. I think this will be a better conclusion statement for this show. Thank you, JJ, for joining my show to share with us so many insights today. In the future, feel free to let me know whenever you'll be free, and you are always welcome back to the show to share more with our audience. Thank you very much.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.
Now, this episode has concluded. I would like to cite one of the ancient Chinese saying, 不积跬步，无以至千里. If you don't accumulate small steps, you will not reach the distance like miles away. Thank you for listening and looking forward to see you next time. Please do not forget to share, like, comment. Your support will keep this show going on. Thank you. See you next time. Bye bye.